We're actually doing pretty good. We've given people time off. We've adjusted, so we always have people here working on the case. But we've taken some time to spend with our families.
Mm-hmm. And I know that it's been probably incredibly difficult. So can you tell me a little bit about what officers are handling emotionally with this case?
You know, I think all these cases that any law enforcement goes on are emotional. But, you know, we've brought in counselors and helped officers work through that. And we brought in peer support teams to also give support. And we'll continue to do that as we need to. But all in all, the officers are doing really well.
That's good. That's good. Can we talk a little bit about some of the national attention this case has gotten, and specifically kind of the social media aspect and a lot of, I would say, like armchair detectives.
Sure.
How has that been in trying to do the real police work when you're getting all of that sort of attention?
It's new, you know, we're not used to the national attention quite this big, especially with news crews coming to town and whatnot. But, you know, we brought in a PIO team that's helped us out immensely to deal with just the large amount of requests to do interviews. The online stuff, you know, that's going to happen, right? I mean, that's just the day and age we're in. There's a lot of people who are sending us tips and stuff through that, and we're going to look into all those as well. So some of it's very useful, some of it can be distracting, but we're filtering through that, and we're managing that, and the investigators are using the information that's good to continue on with that.
Yeah. Do you mind if we move that mic down a little
Nope,
bit?
that's fine.
It's just kind of rubbing.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
You said it's been kind of distracting. I'm sure that as you're trying to parse I don't want to say there's good tips and bad tips, because I'm sure you're running them all out, but as you're trying to parse through all that information, you said it can be distracting and it's probably a lot of extra work.
Yeah, you know, we've had over 17,000 tips come in, and we have a team across the nation that's looking at those and pulling stuff that's good. But we want people to continue to, even any tip that there is, even if they don't think it's a valuable tip, we want those because we'll determine whether they're valuable to us. And people may not think that they're valuable, but we still want that stuff to come into us so that we can look at it and decide if it fits our case or not.
Yeah, and I know a lot of law enforcement says even if you know something you don't think is pertinent to the case, maybe you saw something that you don't know is the key, but maybe detectives and law enforcement know that that's the thing they need.
That's exactly right, and that's why we've asked people, you know, with any pictures from that night or any video to send it to us, send it to our tip line. We'll determine whether that's valuable or not, and we have, like I said, a team that's looking at all that and bringing things together so that we can paint that picture.
Mm-hmm. And I know we have a defamation lawsuit going on, and that's probably kind of beyond the scope of what you guys are focused on. But it kind of highlights the national attention of the case and kind of just the, I guess, messiness of the case and what's going on. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
And I just learned about that this morning on the news, and I think I read it in the paper over the weekend. That has to do with the university and the professor, and we're focused on this homicide right now, so that's what we're going to continue to focus on.
Mm-hmm. How do you stay focused on the facts of the case with all of that extra stuff going on?
Well, I think it's part of what we do. It's, you know, we're trained to investigate things, and we're fact finders. That's what an investigation does. It puts all the pieces together so that we can paint the picture, so that when an arrest is made and it goes to trial, that we can lay that all out for a jury to be able to see the facts and see how we got from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm. The property owners of that unit that the students were in, have you spoken with them? Are they cooperating with law enforcement?
We have spoken with them, and they are cooperating.
Okay. As we're thinking about winter break coming to an end and students coming back, do you have a message for those students who are returning?
You know, I think I stated in an earlier interview, we want the students to come back. We're going to do everything we can to provide a safe environment, but that really is a family decision. That's a decision that those students and the families need to make, but we're going to do everything in our power to continue to provide safety.
I'm just going to change my shot here a little bit. And as I do that, I'll ask you, are there still patrols, are there still extra patrols around the university, and how long are those going to be in place if so?
So we always have patrols going on campus. You know, it's an area that our patrol team, first of all, is up there, as well as some campus officers, but I do believe there's going to be some additional state troopers in the area after the break and stuff. And as well, we've reached out to Lake Tahoe County to provide some extra patrols, just so that people were more seen and they can, you know, feel a little bit more comfortable, hopefully.
Yeah. And I know that you said you've gotten about 17,000 tips. Have those helped lead the case in a new direction? Have they helped kind of divert where you guys are looking?
So like I said, we're taking the facts that we know, we're taking all tips that we know, and we're putting those pieces to the puzzle together and painting that picture. And as we continue to investigate, we'll update as soon as we can, but we're moving forward on this investigation, and we're not going to stop until we get a conclusion.
And I know that you can't give us everything, but do you have evidence that can prove the case when and if you do find a suspect?
Like I said, that's part of the investigation, and I know people are frustrated with us holding that so tight, but when we can provide any updated information, we will. I can guarantee you that.
Can you kind of explain to people who may not understand or may have that frustration of why aren't they telling us more, why you hold back some information?
Sure. Well, you always hold back information on any case that you work, but one this big you hold back because you want to have an unbiased jury pool. And it's not just about today, it's about in a year from now or whenever we make an arrest and go to trial. We want to have that pool of people who can look at the case and not have all the facts to that to make the decision to find this person guilty.
What's the timeline on DNA or lab results?
That's a good question. That has everything to do with the lab and how long they take to do what they do. And we don't want to rush that, right? We want to ensure that we're taking our time to get all that right. So we're just waiting for them. It's kind of we have to be patient too. We would love to have all that information immediately, but like I've told people, you know, real life and the movies are a little bit different. And you know, the movies at the end of the hour, they have all that information. We don't get that quite that fast, but we're going to be patient for that.
Yeah, the CSI effect, right?
Yes.
Everybody's thinking that, you know, it's so quick, and it's definitely not that. And I understand if you can't tell me, but is there DNA in this case?
Like I said, I can't answer that question, but we've collected a lot of evidence, and we're looking into every aspect of it.
And I know there's been funding from the governor to aid in the investigation, so how is that money being used?
It's still ongoing, and that's actually at a level a little bit of me. I just present the numbers to our city supervisor and to the mayor, and then they work with the governor to determine that.
So, and I'm still familiarizing myself with all of the aspects of this, but when did that funding come in?
So that was probably 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, maybe even, when I think Colonel Wills announced that there would be some money made available. So we're just working through the processes of, you know, where it goes and how it's used.
Has this case changed any policies within the Moscow Police Department, or changed the way that you go about investigating?
It is not. We've always been very quick to secure scenes. We've always been very quick to call in ISP, and we've always been very quick to call in our federal partners, FBI, ATF, depending on the type of the case, of who we need the specialty from. So I know there's a lot of confusion out there that we're a small department, but we do utilize our resources, and we utilize them very well.
Mm-hmm. And what about with getting information out to people and the media? I know there was some criticism at the beginning about how quickly information was coming out, and the idea that there was not an ongoing threat to the public, and then people were concerned that there was not a suspect under arrest, and that criticism.
So I take responsibility for information not getting out as fast as possible. I probably should have been much quicker on that, but in the beginning of these, we're a small department, so everybody's working on this case, and to me to be included. But we realized pretty quickly that we needed to get information out. That's why we called in the PIO team, and they've helped us get information, and I think we've been much better at that since that time. Some of the information early on, you don't, like I said, you don't release a ton. I wish I would have been, had a press conference earlier, but like I said, I take responsibility for that.
Mm-hmm. Probably another one of those that might be hard to answer, but when will the department release the 911 call, or can we expect that to be publicly released?
I think it'll be released when the prosecution believes that we can release that. That may be at trial, that may be before then. But some of that, we make a decision as a team of investigators and administration, as well as our prosecutor's office. So we want to make sure that we hold that until it's no longer, not that it's not needed, but it's okay for the case.
Mm-hmm. Is there something specific on the call that you believe could lead to an arrest?
Like I said, I can't discuss that. It's part of the investigation, but as soon as we can release that information, we will.
Mm-hmm. And I think this may be the last question. We know that at least one victim's family has hired a private detective. Have you spoken with that detective or the private investigator? Are you kind of in contact with that family?
We're in contact with all the families daily. We have a representative from the police department that communicates with them. I have not been in contact with the private investigator. I think the same family has an attorney, which we have been in contact with the attorney, and we actually channel all of our stuff through the attorney.
Anything else that you can think to add, or anything you want people to know?
I think the biggest thing is just the outpouring of support we've had across the community, across our state, and across our nation. We've received multiple emails, food, all cards, you name it. People have reached out to us and thanked us for the hard work, and we'll continue to work hard. We're going to work until, like I said, we get a completion of this case.